start this one back the other way. It's still way over here, buddy. I'm still you do smart. I mean, that's enough thing. That's like I said. It's a smart one. Like I said, boy, that's a smart one. Look pretty.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, that's all it took for everybody to get quiet.
Quiet but powerful.
These guys don't get quiet for me like that. All right, welcome to the evening meeting for the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners. Welcome you all. I'm glad to see you here this evening. We'll go ahead and bring tonight's meeting to order. Again, this is the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners for June 16th, 2025. It is 5:01 p.m. If I could have everybody stand for the pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we take a moment of silence. This is for individual prayer, reflection, or meditation. We take this time to honor and remember our first responders and the men and women in our military who keep us safe and protect our freedoms at home and abroad. All right, thank you again. Good to see everybody here this evening. We've got a few things to take care of before we get to the meat of the agenda. We do have one request for one deletion. We need to pull item 7I, which is consideration and approval of agreements related to the Dune project. And Mr. Hadid has an explanation on this item.
You want me to go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Thank
please.
you. Thank you. Yes. That item has a number of features to it. It has a contract for the constructor, a contract for the engineer to design, and two project agreements, one for Ocean Hammock and one for Hammock Beach Resort, basically to do that project totaling $5.5 million. One of the items is the project agreement with the Hammock Beach Resort. The Hammock Beach Resort owes the county 1 acre of land on the beach. This was to compensate for an approval that was conducted on their behalf in 2015, so it's been some time. And the county granted additional land development rights, which would essentially enlarge the hotel and the facilities that would be on the beach, thus potentially changing the character of public access. So in that process, the Board of County Commissioners secured an agreement for them to pay the county $500,000, of which they paid $375,000, and to give the county an acre of land that would provide for dedicated public access. So in the document you have, it's one of the linked attachments. It has a picture of that particular site. We've not finalized that. We're still in the process of working on it. We expect that we'll be done with it, which means configuring it in a way that maximally enhances public access, which will in effect reduce the percentage that we have to pay for a dune project in that area. Because of the fact that we have enhanced public access. Now, the other items, you can go ahead and approve of that. I would suggest you go ahead and do it. What we're doing with respect to this one agreement, we're still in the development mode of finalizing what that parcel is going to look like. is that we will bring that back to you at your July 2 workshop and ask that you set a special meeting, because we can't do it in a workshop, a special meeting to consider that final agreement. That is the Hammock Beach Acquisition Group agreement.
So just to be clear, we will need a motion to pull this, and when we discuss it separately, we can approve everything but the agreement between Flagler County and the Hammock Beach Golf Resort.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody can, when we get to that point, anybody can pull it. So we don't need to make a motion now. We'll just wait and pull it at that point.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
May
My mistake. I didn't quite understand when you approached me earlier, but that works.
May I ask if that is attachment 4, page 13 in the handout? It's called Hammock Beach Dune Recovery Project Agreement?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll bring that back up. Other announcements. County offices will be closed on Thursday, June 19th for Juneteenth National Independence Day. It's a federal holiday celebrated annually to commemorate the ending of slavery in the United States. Also, county offices will be closed on Friday, July 4th for Independence Day. Another note, the county is soliciting applications for the Value Adjustment Board as a citizen appointee. This person must own a homestead property within the county. For further requirements, see Florida Statute 194.015 or contact the Value Adjustment Board clerk at 386-313-4400. Our upcoming meetings, we have a workshop Monday, June 23rd at 1 p.m. This is in regards to animal control. We have a workshop Wednesday, July 2nd at 9 a.m. This is for budget and the general fund, and not on here, but as per Mr. Hadid's comments, we'll schedule a special meeting for that day to be able to address the final part of the agreement with Hammock Beach Golf Resort. And then our next regular meeting is Monday, July 14th. That is at 5 p.m. That is the only regular meeting, business meeting for the commission in July. July 14th at 5 p.m. All right. With that, we will move on to our recognitions. Our first recognition is the Jail Stride Program. This was requested by Commissioner Pennington, so I'll give Ms. Pennington the floor.
Thank you. I don't believe we have the recognition for them. Are they here in attendance with us today? Come on up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Go ahead. First, if you have a moment, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your program that we've heard about?
Yes, I'm Commander Marcelli from the jail. I'm the operations commander. And basically, in a nutshell, the STRIDE program provides the inmate population opportunities for successful reentry back into the community. Some things as simple as a birth certificate or a social security card, which we all think is not a big deal, but when you don't have it or can't get it, we work through those problems with the STRIDE program and our community partners to be able to get them those kind of documents while they're incarcerated, so that when they do get released, they have those. We also partner with Career Source as far as jobs and resume building and things like that. So it's a very big program, and we want to see all of the inmates, when they get released from the jail, that they have a successful reentry back into the community.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, I was able to attend a church where a lot of the inmates go after they're released with the Mike DeRoche's program, and I heard so many wonderful things from those gentlemen about what you've done for them. They've been able to get jobs that they weren't sure they were able to get, and have been trusted by the community. So we wanted to take a moment and thank you for what you're doing over there, because I think it's making a big difference on just getting them back into the community, and they couldn't talk enough about you. So we wanted to bring you in here and do a recognition with you, and we appreciate what you're doing for them.
Sheriff Staley backs the program 100%, along with all of our other programs that we offer inmates. There's not just those.
So I
there's
actually had
others.
an inmate say you did more than, not that this is fun, but you did more than other surrounding jails did for them. So,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
we try to offer a lot of programs. We want to see successful reentry back into the community, and we pride ourselves in those programs.
Yes, we appreciate it. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Acting Chief George Bender with the Sheriff's Office.
Nice to meet you. Would you like to come up and take a picture with us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Slide to the right a little bit, gentlemen. We'll get you centered
Center,
up.
right in the
There you
center.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take a few more. Perfect, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Good job. Thank you.
Shake with you together.
No, maybe it's me who got hacked. But she said the same thing. Okay. Yep. All right, next up for Commissioner Pennington. This is a recognition for St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church's 117th anniversary in the Espanola community.
Yes. If you guys want to come on up, we'll go ahead and read. We proudly recognize and celebrate the 117th church anniversary of St. Paul Baptist Church, a historic and steadfast institution serving the community of Espanola. Under the dynamic and visionary leadership of Pastor Abram Jones, the church continues to build upon its rich legacy by launching innovative and impactful ministries such as St. Paul Cares. This outreach initiative within Espanola exemplifies the church's commitment to meeting the needs of the community, providing food assistance and clothing through its dedicated disaster relief program. While St. Paul Baptist Church remains deeply rooted in its historic foundation, it has boldly embraced a 21st century vision. Pastor Jones has led the church into a new era by implementing a multi-generational ministry that bridges the past, present, and future generations of Espanola. This transformation is setting the stage for an enduring impact on generations to come. And as a beacon of faith and hope, the church continues to live out its mission and vision, serving with the hands of Christ, loving with the heart of Christ, and thinking with the mind of Christ. Through its unwavering dedication, St. Paul Baptist remains a vital force of spiritual growth, community unity, and compassionate outreach for the wonderful community of Espanola. We honor St. Paul's Baptist Church for 117 years of faithful service, and we look forward to its continued blessings and progress that lie ahead. Thank you so much, Pastor Jones. So while he's coming up to, we'll come up to the microphone. I don't know, some of our fire crew may remember that during the hurricane, we came to your community with MREs, but you had beat us to it. During the hurricane, your church was already in the community feeding them and helping them with their needs. Not to brag, but you also helped me and my family through a time of great need recently, where you were able to meet with my husband and pray with us and be a place we could go to and get baptized before his passing, and we greatly appreciate it.
God bless you.
Want to introduce
Thank you
yourself?
So much.
And
I'm Pastor Abram Jones, Senior. I'm the Senior Pastor of St. Paul Baptist Church, and I'm embarking upon 3 years now, and it has been instrumental. It has been God ordained for me to be present there and to be able to serve just not the community, the citizens of Espanola, but those with Flagler County. We have individuals who travel as far as Orlando to be a part of our church, as well as St. Augustine. So it's just a blessing to be here in God's timing. Thank you so much, County, for honoring us here at St. Paul during our 117th church anniversary.
thank you so much. You want to come up for a photo? I don't know if anyone. We're good?
Just congratulations on 117 years. That's amazing in and of itself, and the community is it's fabulous. It's a great way to celebrate what's going on. So thank you.
Do we have enough? There you go.
Get in there, Larry.
Where's Larry?
That's going to be fun.
Okay, yeah, I see him now. I saw him in the back there. Hey, Larry. Hi, honey.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Larry, did you open that church? No. Oh, okay. Did you open that church? That's mean. Tell her that's mean. Celebrate real good. Congratulations.
Hey, Miss Mary.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
good. Good to
so
see you.
much. I didn't want to leave you out. Yeah, they're ice cold. That's what we do. We snow, we freeze it. Yeah. God bless you. I hope you get some sun.
Your turn.
All right. We have a proclamation for the Mosquito Control Awareness Week, June 15th through 21st of 2025. This is requested by Nicole Graves from the East Flagler Mosquito Control District, the outreach specialist. But Mr. Martin is here.
Yes, I am.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for recognizing National Mosquito Awareness Week.
We have a proclamation Ms. Pennington is going to read.
Yeah, it's because you're my neighbor, and that's why they were so.
Yeah, but you don't feed me anymore.
I don't feed him anymore. I fed him every day for years.
I'm starving. No, I'm not.
Fun fact, he's going to change his name legally to Mike Mosquito. So he goes all around. All right, this is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners recognizing June 15th through the 21st, 2025 as National Mosquito Control Awareness Week in Flagler County. Whereas mosquito-borne diseases, including malaria, dengue, yellow fever, West Nile virus, Zika virus, and other forms of arboreal encephalitis, have historically been a source of human and animal suffering, illness, and death in the United States and worldwide. And whereas an excessive number of mosquitoes diminishes our enjoyment of the outdoors, public parks, and playgrounds, hinders outdoor work, decreases livestock productivity, and reduces property values. And whereas residents can assist in the prevention of mosquito breeding areas by eliminating sources of standing water such as ornamental bromelates, clearing gutters of debris, refreshing pet water bowls regularly, properly disposing of any unused tires, and whereas it is important to encourage effective and environmentally safe mosquito control activities, and it is fitting to facilitate communication and education among the East Flagler Mosquito Control's district professionals to improve the effectiveness of mosquito control operations in Flagler County. And whereas the East Flagler County Mosquito Control District works with multiple agencies and government organizations to raise public awareness to prevent the spread of malaria, dengue, West Nile, Zika, and other mosquito-borne viruses, and encourage the elimination of mosquito breeding habitats in residential areas. And whereas it is important for individuals and organizations to work with the East Flagler Mosquito Control District to help decrease the effects of mosquito-borne illnesses. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that we hereby recognize June 15th through 21st, 2025 as National Mosquito Control Awareness Week, and we encourage all citizens to help eliminate standing water sources to help prevent mosquito breeding habitats. Adopted this 16th day of June, 2025, attested by our clerk, Tom Bexley, and our chair, Andy Dance. There we go. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Mosquito.
I'm going to make a motion really quick to declare June 15th through 21st National Mosquito Control Awareness Week.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Welcome, sir, and congratulations on the proclamation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be here. I just want to say that we have been protecting the health of at least the eastern half of Flagler County for 73 years, but it kind of pales compared to 117 years for the Baptist Church. But we're out there working hard every day to protect people, and I encourage everybody to go online, educate yourselves on how to protect yourselves against mosquitoes. because the mosquitoes that carry the most deadly diseases are container mosquitoes, usually Aedes aegypti, Aedes albopictus. They can lay eggs in as little as a 1/4 inch of water in a bottle cap. So Commissioner Pennington cited some of the things you need to do. Don't have any sources of standing water around your property. Even things like an inflatable kiddie pool, if you leave it sit outside, it can attract mosquitoes. Turn it over, dump it out. If you have large planters and there's no more plants in them, make sure they're not holding water. Learn to do the things so you can help us help to protect you. And of course, the other thing that wasn't mentioned is that mosquitoes carry heartworm. And heartworm is a disease that cannot be cured. So if your pets get heartworm, there'll be a medication for the rest of their lives. And it really severely affects the rest of their lives. So if you love animals as much as I do, not only get your animals protected against heartworm, but again, make sure you're not operating your own mosquito breeding program. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate all that you do for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, come on up for a picture. You can come all the way up.
Come on. That's the tough way. You went the hard way. That's the hard way, Mike.
Pretty serious.
You're my 5 favorite people in the world. Thank you so much. I can see.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
You go out the short way.
That's the easy way. Okay.
Give him the explanation. Bring the hard way. Give him that. Mike, the paper. Bring it. Could have just handed it next door, right?
All righty, and next we have a presentation. This is the Sons of the American Revolution Emergency Medical Services Commendation Medal. This is requested by our Fire Chief, Mike Tucker, and he has some special guests. It looks like Percy's taking over.
Yeah.
Nice to see Percy.
The more handsome of the two.
Keep going.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, there's the mic.
That's the mic.
I'm Charlie Hayes with the Sons of the American Revolution. This is David Hammond and John Fine. They're also members of the Flagler Society, the Sons of the American Revolution. And we are here today to honor someone who has done some outstanding duty.
And I'm Percy Sales. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief. Chief Tucker's out on vacation, so you get the handsome guy.
All right.
All right. All right. I was just kidding about that, so I know this is recorded.
It's okay.
I know, that's why
I don't think anybody disagreed with
I
you.
was
No,
just
we-
kidding about that. But, you know, the Sons of American Revolution, each year they send out a memo to us and say, hey, listen, we want to recognize an emergency services provider that has done above and beyond the call of duty. And this year, when I received the nomination, we started looking back at all of the nominations we had received for the awards of the year. And I came across this one for firefighter, paramedic, and now rescue supervisor, Bo Kudoff. And I'd like to read it to you. It's okay? Okay, and the nomination goes like this. This is for, Bo was assigned to Engine 16. If you don't know where that is, that's on the south end of the county there. And he was a paramedic on the engine that day. And he was telling me a little bit about this, but he said there was a gentleman, about my age actually, you know, in his 50s, 60s, that went out for an exercise run, came back home, got a shower, and passed out in cardiac arrest. You know about this call, I'm assuming. Oh, yeah, so the gentleman then passed out in cardiac arrest. 911 was called. Engine 16 responded to that. Now, what's unique about that is there's not a rescue assigned to that station. So it's either coming from Volusia County or it's coming from further away somewhere in Flagler County. So Engine 16 gets there, and the gentleman in full cardiac arrest. At that time, Bo, there's an EMT on the truck and another paramedic, but Bo ends up taking the lead on this call. He had to do defibrillations because the person was in ventricular fibrillation multiple times, started an IV and an IO, which is a feat within itself, had to push several medications, and before the ambulance even got there, got returned a spontaneous circulation back. So it was like kudos to Bo. He wasn't done yet. At that point, he not only, once he got the patient stabilized, he rode in with the rescue, did a 12 lead and a 15 lead. And I said, Bo, do you know how to do a 15 lead? I mean, that's a pretty advanced skill. He goes, yeah, I know how to do a 15 lead. Recognized what was going on with the patient, called a STEMI alert, transported the patient to the hospital, and this was like a miraculous recovery. So it was pretty impressive. So we nominated Bo and to the Sons of American Revolution, and here we go tonight.
All right, the Emergency Medical Services Award. It was authorized in 2005 by the National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution to recognize the individuals that accomplish and/or do outstanding contributions in the area of medical emergency services. This award is intended for paramedics and certified emergency medical technicians and others in the emergency medical field who have performed an act or service beyond that normally expected. The reverse of the medal is, the front of the medal is a EMS badge. We have one here, and the reverse of the medal reads, "Our inspiration is from the past, our duty is in the present, and our hope is in the future." The medal is accompanied by an enameled bar suitable to wear on his uniform and a certificate for framing. The Flagler chapter, Sons of the National American Revolution, present this award to Bo Kirchhoff. Is that close?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Can I add
Thank
one
you.
more thing about Bo?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a couple, I mean, I know I can't talk enough about him, but Bo was a member of the first graduating class from the Flagler Palm Coast High School Fire Academy program. So that was back in 2019. Bo was one of those that we, led from the firefighter EMT program. He became a paramedic. He's just about 6 years on the department now. Now he's a rescue supervisor, which means he's in charge of a rescue truck. So he has done amazing things, and kudos to you all for starting that program.
Good to hear. Speech, Bo, anything?
You covered it all.
Well, thank you to the Sons of the American Revolution. I think it's astounding that you have this type of recognition for the firefighters, for the emergency medical services personnel. It's a great story, and I am sure that gentleman, was a gentleman?
Yes.
Is extremely thankful for your abilities and specialized training, and you were there that day for a specific reason. Thank you for what you did. And anybody else?
Thank you for saving
Come on up for a
someone's life
picture,
and
all of
doing
you.
so much. You're an amazing man. We're thrilled to have you and lucky to have you.
He's tall, Bo. He's tall. And I thought you was tall.
I know, I'm gonna stand here next to Bo.
Yeah.
Makes me feel tall.
He's tall again.
Nobody will see my face.
That's the idea. Come on over. You want to squirt over this way? Okay. I'll get behind first. Thank you. Thank you.
Bo, congratulations. That's super.
Congratulations. Go Bulldogs. Thank you very much.
Go Dogs.
Thank you. Thank you. Great story. That's a great way to end our presentation. So, yep, there goes Bo's family. Wave family. All right. With the presentations behind us, we'll move to community outreach. This is a 30-minute time period allocated for public comment on any consent agenda item or topic that is not on the agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Speakers should approach the podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to the commission. So this time we'll open up for public comment. Welcome.
Good evening. Rob Jarowski, live in the Hammock. Been a resident here for about 5 years. Love it out here for sure. Wrote some comments down, so I'll try to stick to these, and hopefully it's within 3. So I'm also the co-lead of the initiative Protect Flagler's Beaches, along with my wife, Jen Harold, which I know you had a chance to meet last week. Commissioner Hanson, she's actually out of town at the moment, helping with a ill relative. But I do want to preface my remarks by saying I greatly appreciate each and every one of you, your respect. It's a noble profession to go into public service, so I do appreciate your efforts and everything you guys have done to this point. I do believe, though, that there are certain needs that come in front of this commission that are more important than others, or that came across wrong, but you understand what I'm saying. And I really think our coastline is our biggest local economic driver. It's also obviously a big protection against tropical storms, and it very much impacts the entire area. So I feel like this is something that deserves attention above almost anything else, because if we can't get this right, then almost nothing else matters within this county area. I'm an accountant. I like numbers, so I tried to dig into some of the budgets. And one of the numbers that kind of came across to me is that in comparing budgets over the last 10 years, so the property taxes collected in this county have risen by 130%, while our population has only increased by 33%. And when you take into account inflation of about 33%, it still means that there's a higher burden of tax on the residents right now than there was 10 years ago. So I understand there are other factors at play in terms of revenue that comes in, but I think this board really needs to be more transparent in talking about those issues that have impacted your revenues, what's come in, and why there's more of a dependence upon the actual residents of the county then. I think if you make that case, it will help us get to a better place of being able to come up with a fair beach management plan. I believe each of you on this commission are Republicans. I don't know if you're aware, but your state party chair has an initiative ongoing right now, actually speaking to the fact that property taxes have risen by so much in each of these counties, and you guys have collected so much more over the years. They want to see a rollback of those. So there's that. I don't know what the governor or others would say at this point, but I think there needs to be better communication on this issue. I mean, I want to see specifically, where is our money going? Why are we hindered about additional revenue dollars coming in that perhaps, again, increases the burden on us? And then we can have a fair discussion about whether we can really bring in and have another tax or not. Ideally, we obviously would not, but again, I respect the fact that there are other things that you have priorities for, and there are other factors at play. So I think I'm at the end. Could have said more, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Come on up. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Savannah Brinkworth. So I'm going to talk about the industrial rezoning. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. I've been really big in trying to kind of educate the public about it. But I want to bring my attention to you guys because I have been focusing a lot in just Bunnell, but I'm an unincorporated, so I feel like I do need to be here and talk to you guys. So I just want to emphasize that this is not just a city issue for Bunnell. It's going to impact all of Flagler. We're going to feel those effects all over our county. Unincorporated areas like where I live, to neighborhoods like the K section, they are right across the street from this. And then to anyone who depends on the health of our water systems and rural environment. The land in question is across the road from Black Branch Swamp and lies eastbound of Black Point Swamp, two major wetlands that play a vital role in flood protection, wildlife movement, and natural filtration. These swamps are tied to the hydrology of our region, ultimately feed into protected waterways. I can provide an image for you guys. I overlaid last night if you're interested. I can email it to you. So I overlaid aquifer recharge data, most up to date, and found that the L2 site is within priority 4 and 5 recharge zones, and it's less than a mile from priority 2 and 3 zones. So those are actually, 2 and 3 are among the most sensitive groundwater recharge areas in the state. They feed directly into the Floridian aquifer, which supplies drinking water to thousands of Flagler County residents. So I do think that is something that we should, take into consideration. So any contamination from heavy industry, whether it's stormwater runoff, airborne pollutants, or fuel leaks, will not stop at city lines. Water flows outward, so does harm. Now, what's most troubling is the straight rezoning approach that this is taking. No environmental studies, no traffic analysis, no site plan, no public review of the impacts, just a blanket industrial designation. In contrast with the reserve at Hog Creek, I will have to say, at least they're going through a PUD development, which requires public hearings, multiple rounds of reviews. The public has a say, the city, county has a say. That's how responsible development works, and this L2 is not what it is. So why are they allowed to get a shortcut for something that has the potential of being a lot more environmentally impactful? So, commissioners, this land is zoned agriculture for a reason. It protects our rural identity, our drinking water, and our long-term sustainability. Turning it into an industrial zone with no studies, no plan, and no regional coordination puts all of it at risk. I do want to ask that you explore whether legal standing exists for this or not. I appreciate you guys and for being here doing what you do.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Good job.
Hi there, I'm Darlene Shelley. I live in the K section in Palm Coast. I've been a resident of Palm Coast since 2012. I just want to echo on a few of the points the last speaker brought up, some of which I've already spoken to you and emailed each of you extensively on the safety, health, and welfare concerns that we have with the Flagler Executive Airport. The only thing more hazardous to a potential environmental catastrophe is one that's already unfolding in front of us. We know from reports from the EPA that single-piston aircraft, such as the training flights that circle overhead on average of 520 times a day in Palm Coast and Bunnell, factually operate on avgas, which still contains lead, and they believe, they have strong suspicion that it actually causes autism and learning disabilities in our children. Lead in any amount is hazardous to children, to adults, to all humans, including pets. There is no safe level of lead. There's been incorrect information put out that Flagler County has de minimis amounts of lead. It's misleading. I'm hoping that it's not purposely misleading. We know that the last results of anything that was put out as far as the amount of lead, in 2008, it was 720 pounds in Flagler County, and then they stopped keeping track. So we know that it's happening. We know that the emissions are in the air, that lead has a tendency to get into the ground, it penetrates. So when you're testing 0 to 2 inches, you are not finding lead because of the leachability factor. You may have heard the saying that you don't invite ants to a picnic. You don't invite mosquitoes to a picnic. You eradicate them. When things are swarming over your home and destroying your peace and quiet and emitting toxic lead and harmful chemicals onto your city, onto your children's schools, onto your windowsill, you must stand up and demand action. It's gone on for way too long. And when you ask the FAA says local governments have the responsibility and the jurisdiction to pass the ordinances that will protect the residents. The city says it's a county airport. The county says talk to the FAA. The FAA says it's up to your local government. And that's you. So please help us protect our children and our homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Martin, live in Palm Coast. I just want to point out to anybody who's interested that the county budget is a public document. Anybody can request a copy of it. Anybody can look through it. The budget is the budget. It can be amended. Money can be moved around, but it cannot be increased. So if you're wondering where the county is spending their money, just request a copy of the county budget and you'll find out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back. Mr. Martin, I would add that we have a pretty detailed transparency page on the Flagler County website. So anybody can enter their specific home address and be able to look at the breakdown of where your tax dollars go. But beyond that, even all that anybody needs to do, even if it's somebody wants to review with finance and ask for an appointment, they can probably call any of us, and we'll invite them in and go over that with them as well if they have specific questions. Happy to go through that. There's no doubt during periods of growth here in the county that when property values were increasing and a lot of construction going on, that there was additional revenue that came into the county. But I think like you said, you look back and look at where those funds were allocated to each of the constitutional officers, and it'll be pretty revealing. Anybody else with comments, answers to public comment?
Could you ask for, I don't know which meeting it was when Miss Darlene was here. There was some discussion about lead testing alternatives. Sean, I'm going to point to you, but I'm not positive you were in that seat, where there was a comment about, yes, there are other ways to test the lead, and were we not going to look into other ways of testing lead besides the company that we hired to do the soil testing?
There was a gentleman here from who had a career in the EPA, and he mentioned that there are more thorough methods of testing. And I don't know if that has gone anywhere. I know the test we did do, I believe it cost several thousands of dollars, maybe $5,000, and it wasn't something that is required of the county. And so to do the more thorough testing would incur those additional costs. I don't know what those are, or if the airport director or Ms. Petito is interested in pursuing it, or if this board wants us to follow through on that. But I'm a little out of the loop in terms of if it went any further than that.
I just, I would like to put at least one thing to bed on this airport situation and the people that live there. If there is a burning desire to have lead testing done, I do not believe it's on the citizens that are telling us or suggesting to us that there is a lead problem. I think it's incumbent upon us to prove there isn't. Lead is not a good thing. Mr. Seeger has mentioned before that the fuel industry for the airport is looking at reducing the lead in the fuel, and there's been no movement on that for several years. I don't know if they have any testing to support their decision not to remove the lead. We do have a unique situation here with houses being so close to the airport that I don't know it's not worth one other or any type of study. So the EPA would definitely be the route that we could go to seek more information. Would you agree?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I think we can at least find out what it would cost.
Okay. So could we get, Chairman, could we talk about the possibility of doing additional testing besides the soil test that we had done?
Well, sure. I believe, and Mr. Seeger may be able to, if there was going to be additional research during the master planning process into that, or you can shake your head if not. Okay.
No.
So I guess really through the RFP process is the only way you'd be able to do it. You need to be able to talk to more than just one speaker and one source that came to us. We would need to be able to have input from different people and different opinions on what actually needs to be tested. And we can always maybe reach out to FAA if there's some experts in the field that could come back and speak to us. But I think the next step would be to research a little bit more from our end. I respect the person that came, but that's one opinion.
But it potentially affects a lot of people. So it is an opinion, and you're right. I mean, she doesn't come with data, but lead comes with known problems. I mean, we deal with lead paint in our industry all the time. I mean, there is a lead issue. So I think it would be, and if it's not going to be in the long-term plan or the strategic plan or master plan, then it should be an outlier that this particular issue should be looked at. I'm not suggesting spending gobs and gobs of money on it. I would just like more information than the zero lead report that we got and this one or two citizens saying we have it.
Chair, just a point, she did provide data. There's actual issues going on in California where airports are shutting down, children are testing higher. So that was provided. And I was going to ask Mr. Seeger, the lead testing we had, do you know the inch depth? I can't recall that you tested to.
Sure.
4 inches, is that what you said? 2 to 4? Maybe we can, if you can resend and provide that information to us, and maybe we can come back and discuss this at another date. Would that be all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, the
Doesn't need a
intent.
workshop, just maybe we'll just take that data and take
I mean,
a look at it.
I know staff purposefully
But-
went to an expert in the field to get this done because
Yeah.
of the comments that were brought back to us. So, is there multiple different ways to test for lead? I'm not the expert. I don't know, but we hired a scientist to do it. I do think you need to be conscious of the cost. So if we're going to do additional lead testing, then we need to bring back some additional information on the types of analysis that's required and the cost if you want to look at that.
Well, I'm not so, I don't know that lead purposefully falls into the ground. There's lead, if there's lead in the air, if there's lead that gets into the homes, just the fact that we tested at one end of the runway and the other end of the runway, I don't know that how big of a study this is in comparison to other airport studies or other lead studies, but there seems to be a lingering concern that there is lead emitted at the airport. So I'm willing to look at whether or not we need additional data or funds to get the data in light of the fact that we're not going to get it through the airport plan.
So I would just say that I would make sure everybody, again, has a copy is sent to everybody in their email so that they can read through it. There was more than just 2 places at the end of the runways that were tested. So there's multiple, and actually the sample closest to Highway 100 was where there would be a slightly higher reading, and that was closer to where
Automobiles.
the automobiles are.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm okay. Whatever you guys want to do, if you need more research.
No, I was just asking to get a copy of it again, because it's been a while to refresh my memory when we presented that. But, and will it be addressed like an ongoing plan to test every X amount of years in the master plan? We haven't said that yet,
That
right?
would probably be something that
will
could
come
be
along
brought up
with that.
during that process, I would
That might
say.
be something to think about too, is it be
Yeah,
part of the process.
I would feel
at some
comfortable
point.
just reading the plan, reading the report again, and then make sure, as Leanne said, that it's an ongoing test, because then you can establish a history and watch it and graph it and see whether it's going up or down or staying the same.
I mean, we had the gentleman present this report and explain the methodology that was used, but, all right, so in conclusion, everybody read the report.
I'll
and then
take the
we'll bring it-
report.
We'll bring it back.
I thought the report, for some reason, the number of 30,000 comes to my mind for that test. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Do you remember?
I don't think it was that much.
I thought it was a very extremely high number in my memory.
Very low.
Okay.
Okay, I just
Could
wanted to make sure. I don't want to spend $30,000.
No, we would have to
I'm just
approve
saying,
that.
I want to find out what the cost was.
And regarding the rezoning, I'm sure you're getting as many emails as I am about helping with the rezoning in Bunnell. Do we have any legal stay on that property or the surrounding area?
Yes, I was going to bring it up in reports, but now's a great time. We will have an opportunity to comment after their transmittal hearing, which is coming up, I think, on the 23rd, sometime in the very near future. And that's our official segue where we are invited to comment. But beyond that, I can tell you that the attorney for the landowner has called me several times, called our office, and is doing a good job, in my view, of engaging with the county and getting starting a conversation and coordinating and listening to what our concerns are. And I don't know if the person who spoke is still here, but the owner is reconfiguring the request. And so instead of just all 18, whatever number of acres, it's a very large piece of land, instead of the entire thing being heavy industrial, they're going to have the heavy industrial along the railroad track closer to the eastern side of the land. In the middle will be light industrial. And then down in the south and the southwestern portion, where it's closer to some unincorporated residents, they're going to have something called agriculture commercial industrial. I may have gotten the exact title incorrect, but it's ag industrial, essentially. So it's sort of a phased down in intensity from the railroad track as you go westward. They're also willing, and they're going to put forward this proposal where they eliminate right off the bat certain things that would not be allowed. The storage of large amounts of hazardous chemicals won't be allowed. They're not going to have a fuel depot. This is not Belvedere. So they're taking that off the table on this land. I can't remember if there were a few other things, but they were trying to address the concerns of the public, and they are proactively engaging with the county. So I view that as a good thing. And again, we will comment in writing after their comp plan transmittal hearing.
Chair, the property owner reached out today to me this afternoon and asked for the board, in full transparency. The other thing, Fuel Depot was also a garbage dump. That was another concern that they're going to try to eradicate from that property for good. But they reached out, and she actually asked if the board would consider allowing Mr. Moylan to be in attendance again, as he was at the reserve, because you proactively tried to work with the city on the Haw Creek Reserve. They didn't address the lettering you sent or anything like that. She'd like to get ahead of any of the county's concerns as far as on fire, impact to roads. She'd like that brought up in that meeting so that they're trying to address it proactively so she doesn't, they can see everything up front. So if that's something we would like Sean to go over and proactively address, they welcome it and would appreciate it.
Sounds like we're making a little headway with some of these.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
All right. I guess the point is stay in tune with the public documents that will be released by the city of Bunnell. So right now, I checked their agenda. Nothing's been posted yet. I don't know when they typically post, but
Would this board prefer, as Commissioner Pennington was suggesting, that Mr. Mengel and I appear at that initial transmittal hearing, or the other approach would be allow them to conduct the transmittal hearing, and then we put our comments in writing, and thereby create a conversation and appear at the adoption hearing to actually speak if there are still lingering concerns. I'm good either way. You give me my marching orders.
I feel like and this is just me speaking, the impacts to 304 maybe should be heard and addressed by that board prior to decision. Because if they approve without our comments and it goes to transmittal, I just feel like maybe our feelings about it may impact the decision, one way or the other. And it might be helpful for them to hear it rather than read it later. But that's just me. So I'm one of 5.
I would concur. So that
And
would-
we can't do both?
We can. Yeah, sure we can. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I had the support of the board.
Commissioner Hanson? Okay. And Commissioner Richardson? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. We've done community outreach. Appreciate everybody's comments. We will move to consent, and I'll need somebody to move that, or I guess, is there any comments on consent that anybody wanted to make outside of pulling anything? And if not, we will pull 7I so that we can discuss the approach to take on 7I. As pardon me? 8A is business. So we will talk. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So we'll pull 7I.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda with the exception
hold on.
of 7I.
Greg, hold on one second.
Okay.
That's okay. Yes, if you have. I do. Okay.
Commissioner, we're not getting any of that on microphone.
I'd like to pull 7E, not for a presentation, just for a vote.
Okay. So that's 7E and 7I so far. Anybody else want to pull an item? Okay, Commissioner Hanson.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of 7E and 7I.
A motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We'll move to 7E. We don't need a presentation, you're saying?
I don't.
Okay, does anybody else need background information on 7E?
I suppose this is because it's dependent upon as the other ones were.
This is the same grant that I've been opposed to since February, with the promise of getting the airport zoning ordinance by March. It's now June. We still don't have it in its complete form, so I am not going to be in favor of this grant.
Mr. Seeger, did you want to speak to how we got this request from DOT? Did you have a specific question?
No,
Good evening. This on?
Sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Roy Seeger, Director at Flagler Executive Airport. So in front of you, you have the final PTGA or final amendment to this project for the General Aviation Terminal facility. The way I came about this money is we were actually supposed to get this next July. FDOT called me and says, Roy, we have an extra $2.5 million. Can we give you the money now instead of next year? So we'd really appreciate it if you could take this money now. And I said, yes, I'll bring it to the board and we'll get that. And then I said, oh, by the way, do you have an extra $400,000? We could also use it to design our new fuel terminal facility. So they gave us the extra $1.2 million for the terminal, extra $400,000 for the terminal facility as well. But the nice thing about that is that $1.2 million that I have programmed for next year in July, that $1.2 million stays there. So we'll be able to use that money for building the fuel facility next year. So basically, as we want to get this money allocated, because if they don't spend it, they're going to lose it. And I'd really hate to let FDOT down if this was not approved.
Do we have an update on the ordinance?
We do. And I'll turn that over to Sean.
Yes, so we did adopt the ordinance in April. The statute required us to do it, I think it was back in 2016 or something, and we were years and years late. At this point, the chapter of Florida statutes also requires us to enter into interlocal agreements with the municipalities whose jurisdictions are impacted by that ordinance. So that is Palm Coast and Bunnell. Certain portions of those municipalities, if someone wanted to construct a cell tower, for example, this ordinance would apply. So we have to have an interlocal agreement with them. We have sent them, both of those cities, a draft of the interlocal. And with Bunnell, we haven't gotten back any comments or edits yet. I did reach out to their attorney who said they are working on it. With the city of Palm Coast, we did get a round of edits sent back to us, and we in turn made further edits and transmitted it back to them, and they are working on it. So it is literally a work in progress. The Palm Coast edits, they wanted us to follow sort of their technical review committee protocols, and that's fine, but we have to fine-tune them exactly what they are. They also started to sort of go beyond the scope of that interlocal and make it more into a joint planning agreement. Now, we already have a joint planning agreement with the city for lands around the airport, and I have no problem working on that with them. Indeed, it does need updating. It's dated, and we should update it. But this interlocal is specific to the airport zoning ordinance. It has to do with those obstructions that we talked about before. You can't have a landfill at the end of a runway, things like that. So I wanted to make sure this particular interlocal stayed narrow in scope. Joint planning, we can work on that by amending the other agreement that's already on the books. And they had one further request. They suggested that a city planner should be a member of the committee that is going to guide the update to the master plan. And I said, that's fine. It's up to our county commission ultimately who's on that committee. But that doesn't need to be part of this interlocal on airport zoning. Now, getting back to the matter at hand, in terms of the grant agreement that's before you, it has a provision in there that requires us to certify that we will comply with Chapter 333 Florida statutes. So we complied by adopting that ordinance, albeit very late, but we did do it. The statute had a deadline for that ordinance, and we missed it. There is no deadline for the interlocal. It just says you need to have one. And again, the grant agreement says we will comply with all applicable laws, including Chapter 333. So in my legal opinion, we are not in violation of this grant agreement by not already having that interlocal adopted and on the books. It's a work in progress. We will get there. It's going to take some time, but we'll get there.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm good.
Okay. Oh, yep. So DOT, I just want to make sure, DOT reached out to you.
Correct.
We have money we want to give you.
Right.
Instead of the opposite.
Probably put him in charge of our other.
Instead of the opposite way where we're submitting grants or replying to grants and asking.
Right. And the big thing is they need to have this money allocated by June 30th.
Okay.
Because that's the end of their fiscal year.
Okay.
It works. If you don't spend it, you don't get it next year, right?
Correct.
That's the way it works.
Right. And that, like I said, that airport turned in
inefficient as it
$2.5
is.
million, and we got the windfall for that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, I'll open up for public comment if anybody wishes to address the commission on this item. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks. Darlene Shelley, K-Section, Palm Coast. I'm glad I have the opportunity to have a mere 3 minutes to speak to you. There were other requirements of the FAA and FDOT grants. The interlocal agreement, and originally this started in 2006, not 2016, and It's always been, we are working on it, we are making efforts to, but the interlocal agreement has never happened. This is a requirement for not only this $1.2 million, but all of the $65 million in grants that the Flagler Airport has received so far from the FAA and the FDOT. My concern is the city of Palm Coast cannot afford to make the changes to Old Kings Road that are a decade overdue. They don't have the money. And I just wonder what $65 million could have done for infrastructure for the county and Palm Coast and the city of Bunnell. This is our tax money that we've put in that they are begging the airport to take. And as the airport takes these grants, they get larger. They invite flight schools from across the state to come fly over our homes, our county, our hospitals, our homes, our schools, our daycares, our playgrounds. I'm not asking for more lead testing. We know that single-piston aircraft, these training aircraft, emit lead. We know the lead is there. We know that it's harmful. Don't waste any more of our money on testing. It's very simple. All you have to do is amend the airport rules and regulations that haven't been updated since 2008. Another part of your grant requirements are ensuring that the airport is self-sufficient. It's not. If you read the P&Ls, what you're going to be voting on next, how much of our money is going to the airport, I want to say $65,000 a month on avgas fuel. That's the fuel that has lead in it. And now I hear talk of tanks, fuel tanks, that are going to be holding this toxic chemical in our backyard, 1,000 feet from homes, in our densely populated and noise-sensitive city. This is unbelievable that we're at this point in time after a decade of the residents fighting for their lives, for their peace, for their children. I am shaking right now because it's so heartfelt for me and my children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this issue? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment, bring it back for any internal extra discussion on the dais or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve 7E.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson. Is there a second?
I'm going to second.
A second by Commissioner Pennington. Have additional discussion?
I just want to confirm that these figures on, under this, give me 1 second here. This $1,200, is that the 25 FDOT we're voting on, or the 26? I'm sorry, on the backup for 7C. There's 2 FDOT amendments to the PGA. One for 1,200 and one for 1,200. That was the second 1,200, correct?
1.2 million.
1.2 million.
Okay, so it's 1.2 million. I have zero problems. I can't count that high, okay? It's not in my vernacular. Thank you. It's been a full day. So the second one is for 2026, correct? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to find it on the agenda.
Yeah, 7C.
320,000.
We're on 7E.
Yeah, so funding sources.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're discussing the 1.2 million for 7E. 7F was the 320,000 already approved.
Wait a minute now. It's still the same thing as in 7E that was in 7C, I believe.
Yeah.
Is it? It's exactly the same. Didn't change at all.
So
Same.
this is consideration for the Third Amendment,
Right.
which would be the FDOT Third
FDOT
Amendment.
for 2026.
Yes, the bottom line.
It's on both E and C. That's why it showed up on C too. Okay. Yeah. I didn't drink today. No. No, I don't. I don't drink.
This
All right,
is
so
what
we've
happens
got-
when we stack workshops together.
Thank you.
This is any other additional questions? Because before we call the question.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, anybody else? All right, so I'll call the question. All those in favor of 7E for the resolution and Third Amendment to the PTGA with the Florida Department of Transportation in the amount of $1,200,000 to assist with funding the construction of the General Aviation Terminal facility.
That's on E.
All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Just for clarification, did I hear you, Ms. Richardson?
You did.
Okay.
I said aye.
Thank you. Just
This
clarifying.
This aye. I said this aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Did you say, I didn't hear
Oh,
from you.
you're waiting on me? I am strictly holding Mr. Moylan accountable for his legal opinion on this one. So I was a yay.
Okay. So just for clarification, there's four ayes and one nay. Okay, thank you. Trying to learn from our planning board thing the other day and make sure there's no.
We should call the vote. Clerk,
That's
call
right.
the vote. Don't forget that one, Andy.
Pardon
Clerk,
me?
Clerk, call the vote.
I can always go back
Yeah,
to
the
that
clerk
one if
call
I
the
need
vote.
to. Absolutely. All right, thank you, everybody. 7I, this is the consideration and approval of the 11th Amendment to Construction Agreement, Flagler County and Eastman Aggregate. 2, First Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement between Flagler County and Moffett and Nichols. 3, Project Agreement between Flagler County and Ocean Hammock Property Owners Association. And those 3 we will be considering as item 4 will be moved to July 2nd and workshop and also a special meeting. I got that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal.
Good evening. Should I start?
Absolutely, go
Yep.
right ahead.
Good evening. The item before you is for your consideration and approval is a couple of contract amendments, one with Eastman and one with for construction of this dune recovery project, and one for design and construction, engineering, and inspection of that work. In addition to 2 agreements with the Ocean Hammock and Hammock Beach associations. The item for your consideration is due to the severe impact and erosion to the dune system along 2 miles of the coast from on the south side from Jungle Hut to southern boundary of the Malacompra Park. This is basically monument, FDEP range monument 35 on the south to 24 on the north side. The plan is to place about 6 cubic yard per foot along this 2-mile segment in preparation and for the hurricane season. As I said, there's deep scarps along this section, and this is an emergency measure that is being planned for not only this section. In the previous meeting, you approved the Hammock Dune Reach area, which is currently under construction, and we have the contractor Eastman to honor basically the price that they provided us back in 2023 for the dune recovery project. And that contract with Eastman is in the amount of $5,062,670. And the contract amendment with Muffet and Nickel for the engineering design work and the construction inspection efforts there during the construction, and that would include the environmental monitoring, which is pretty extensive at this time of the year. That is in the amount of $369,975. The entire work would be done under the emergency final order. Like I said, we are under the emergency final order, and that would be used for our permitting process. With that, the agreement with the Ocean Hammock is in place, and like Mr. Hadid indicated, the one outstanding, which is expected to be completed by July 2nd, is the Hammock Beach agreement that is being worked on. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. So this is, again, we're focusing on items in 7I, 1, 2, and 3. If there's any questions for Mr. Tabasian.
Go ahead. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the following agreements. Number 1, the 11th Amendment to the construction agreement between Flagler County and Eastman Aggregate Enterprise for reconstruction of the Northern County Dune Restoration Project in the amount of $5,062,670. And item 2, the First Amendment to the professional services agreement between Flagler County and Moffett and Nickel for construction, engineering, and inspection services in the amount of $369,975. And item 3, a project agreement between Flagler County and Ocean Hammock.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Pennington. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. If there's anybody from the public that would like to address the commission on this item. All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Any
Chair,
final?
did we not approve the unanticipated revenue or the amending the CIP? 6 sections to that item.
Mr. Chair, I think we can defer those to that special meeting because it will complete the constellation of the agreements.
All right, so 4, 5, and 6 will be moved to the next meeting.
To the special meeting that
Right.
was announced earlier.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Motion remains the same. Motion and second remain the same. We'll move those items under 4, where it is the language for requesting the board. We'll move 4, 5, and 5 to 4, 5, and 6 to the workshop and special meeting. All right, thank you for that. Any other questions? Okay. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. All right. And we will move to general business. This is the contract consideration for 90-day interim county attorney. This will be presented by Charlie Picano, our Human Services Director. And Jorge, back from vacation.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Jorge Salinas, Deputy County Administrator. I have with me Charlie Picano, our HR Director. And the last update on the hiring process for the county attorney, I did the presentation while Charlie was out that day on a training. I wanted to provide a summary of that and then go into the details of the contract. On May 28, 2025, the board directed administration to continue seeking applicants for the county attorney position. With county attorney Mr. Hadid retiring on August 1st, 2025, the board decided through consensus to appoint Deputy County Mr. Sean Moylan as interim county attorney for a period of 90 days. Their interim appointment would allow the board more time to review additional applications, which Mr. Picano, our HR director, can provide a status of that after my update. A contract for Mr. Moylan's appointment as interim county attorney has been prepared for the board's consideration and has been included in today's agenda packet. In terms of the highlight of the contract appoints Mr. Moylan as interim county attorney from August 1st up to October 31st, 2025, a 90-day period, and would allow automatic extensions to this appointment until a permanent county attorney is hired. Upon hiring a permanent attorney, county attorney, Mr. Moylan will return to his role as deputy county administrator if he's not selected as the county attorney. The salary for the interim county attorney appointment is $175,000. The contract provides for standard senior level staff benefits, including leave, retirement, insurance, as we have now. Either party may terminate the contract with 30-day notice after this, which Mr. Moylan returns to his deputy county attorney role. I would open up for any questions.
Questions?
I don't have a question. I have a comment I have to make. I spoke a little prematurely at that meeting, I feel. I'm wondering if we're losing the opportunity when you appoint someone into that role, that we're losing the opportunity of maybe getting more people applying for it. They'll feel that they're second choices, not first choices at some point. Like the gentleman who came in here that day and was insulted, that was also one of those attorneys who did make the application. I understand, if I'm not mistaken, that we don't have to have that role filled until we're prepared to fulfill it. We don't have to put someone in there. Sean can continue to act in his current position without having a senior, I don't know what the term is for Al today, deputy?
He's county
He's
attorney.
the deputy?
County attorney.
Director, right. So rather than have to get in a director at this time, it leaves it open so that people with that 90 days that we were looking for to be able to go ahead and market and look for somebody who would be able to take that role. It's just something I want to make a comment on because I rushed to, well, let's get this meeting over with. And I just think we have an opportunity to maybe open up the door to more people because that's an opportunity. And yet he would still be in the capacity he's in right now. It would just not change his financial situation or his position as the county attorney, but still be the deputy attorney. And it's nothing on a personal level.
This appointment is an interim appointment. For example, if Heidi decided she got the lottery on
Right, she
Saturday,
left tomorrow.
You can appoint me as an interim while you go through the process of hiring a county administrator. It's a normal process in government to appoint somebody as an interim
I'm aware
to
of
fill.
that.
So it would not deter people from applying because right now we have additional applications that Charlie would be providing information and update on that. This meeting and this information has been disseminated through public meetings, and that has not deterred folks from applying for this position.
I just understand it's not required to have that position filled. Regardless, Sean would still be able to do his role as he is today until we made a decision, because he did apply. So once he's applied, now he said he wanted that position by applying, which would make other people feel, well, why bother?
Yeah,
He's there.
The position is not filled. The county attorney position is still vacant. It's just an interim role.
I understand, as an interim, it would discourage people from looking. That's just my opinion, and after I had some time to consider it, and I just wanted to bring that across.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I said this in the last meeting. If the true feeling of the majority of the board is to have an interview process, leave the requisition open, then I think by prematurely sitting an interim that is also an applicant will deter people from applying. I noticed we only got one application since we had this discussion at the last meeting, and he was not qualified. And so if that's the majority of the board, is to have an open process where and it's not fair to Mr. Moylan, because here we are talking about him and he's an applicant and he may very well end up being the county attorney. But if we're leaving the requisition open, we're truly searching, unless this was the plan all along, to have him as interim and kill down our search, because that's what I think it'll do. I think it'll drive a lot of people away, and their worst. I just think, for me right now, if that's the intention, is to leave open the rec, leave Mr. Moylan as an applicant, then I'd say we defer making an interim at this time. And if, that's me, and that's where I'm going to stand on it.
Yeah, that was, it was guidance from the board. You were not in the
Understand.
meeting, so we're just following guidance from the board. And I know Charlie has a little bit more information on how many hits we've been getting. And
I'm not sure, just as an off comment, I'm not sure the Palm Coast Observer would be the right place to be paid advertising right now, because I don't think we're going to find a county attorney locally. If we're going, I saw it. Yeah, I'm just giving. It was some feedback that I got from actually a lot of people. Yeah. It was kind of.
I got it on my Facebook because I sent it forward. Oh, I couldn't believe the comments that they made.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only posted there; it's posted in a bunch of places, and
just
even boosted in some of the major
since it's paid
ones.
in particular, I was given that as feedback, because I actually had about 4 comments at one of the meetings I go to. Why are you advertising there? All that stuff, because they don't think this unicorn doesn't sit locally, probably. This type of role. So that's my comment. It's nothing against Mr. Moylan at all. He's an applicant. There was going to be an interview process. We haven't really had that opportunity. So, and there are a lot of people asking us for that process to occur, since Mr. Al's moving on, and they're asking for us to look at all options. So that's what I think is owed to the public, and I thought the board had agreed to leave the rec open, and I do feel it hinders the rec, and so that's where I'm at. It's nothing on, you guys are just standing there taking this feedback.
No, I
and
understand.
it's really, my discussion's really with our board, so.
I understand, yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
The only comment I have is if we're asking him to take on this authority to do this, then I think we need to give him the title.
When is Mr. Hadid leaving?
I think August 1st. And maybe another option is setting a deadline for the application to close. Maybe that might encourage applicants to apply and know there's an end date, like that'll ensue interviews and move forward.
Do you feel, honestly, you just said it a minute ago, but you feel that you've advertised this thing, there's no other place we can go out and advertise?
Yeah, I've
You've
advertised
got
it
it all.
everywhere. I've
You've covered.
advertised at the point where if you Googled County Attorney Florida, it was the first thing to pop up. Like if you just typed in County Attorney Florida, it was the first thing to pop up.
But I think our system is technically flawed. So there's a difference between advertising and recruiting. We all agree with that?
Yeah.
I'm going to say this for the 5th time. I want a recruiter. This job is too important to me and to this position. Whether Mr. Moreland is interim or not interim, he's a candidate. I want to see other bodies, other professional bodies stand in front of me so I can observe them. I can ask them questions. The long and short of it is there might be a ranking, and we did it. We're not going to do it for nothing. We're going to do it for experience. We're going to do it to learn about other attorneys and what they have to offer. We're going to learn about what's best for our county. this is a tough, tough call. And you did, through your presentation, give some financial $30,000 to $40,000 estimate.
It wasn't guesstimates.
It was a guesstimate.
Yeah,
There are
quotes.
There are recruiting companies that only deal with attorneys.
Yeah.
They are, correct?
Yeah, and that's what we reached out to, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask the board one more time. I mean, I think that something is wrong for us to only get 8 or 9, now maybe 10, but one's not qualified. 2 we had to take out because whatever it is, I did come that night prepared for 5. Mr. Moylan was one of them, but I personally need to see some people face to face. How we rank them or how we decide who we're going to go face to face with, we still have another month before we have to execute this. I'm very impressed on how fast this happened. I mean, I got stuff waiting all over the place and I can't get it done this fast. So we got the agreement done. I don't think we need to sign it or move forward with it until July, but I personally want to see some people. It's our job. It's our job as professional commissioners to pick the right person, and I haven't had a chance to see anybody else. And our recruitment is flawed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Go ahead.
In my opinion, we did a thorough job for what we do in HR.
Right.
If you're looking for a legal recruiter, like a headhunter who's going to, reach out to people on LinkedIn and spend hours and hours trying to, reach out to possible prospects directly, then yeah, that would be like a headhunter firm. But even the headhunter firm I reached out to, one of them wrote back and they said the final recommendation is usually 5 to 7 qualified candidates, what they bring. So I think they have multiple options.
Well, this board did not feel that way about the other applicants.
Yeah.
They did not feel that. They were, I don't know what they did, but I had 5. I could have taken 5 out of the 7 or 8, whatever we had. But
So I do feel like just to deliver the public a process that had options and people were interviewed, that we could at least attempt to wrap that up and get that done in the next several weeks.
Yeah.
Just for,
Let me chime in
that's my
before we
two
go. This is extremely frustrating, and I apologize, Mr. Moylan. This should not be happening. We should not be going down this road and then at this point reconsidering. The system isn't flawed. What we have is a long-term, highly respected Florida county attorney who is retiring that has brought along his protege for how long?
10 years.
For 11 years. If you're out there looking for a position for a county attorney, and Mr. Moylan has put his name in there, is that where you're going? Is that where a seasoned or somebody who wants a real shot is going to put their name in? And this isn't to say take anything away from Mr. Moylan. The facts are he's an 11-year apprentice protege of somebody who's highly respected throughout the state and has been working under him for 11 years, and somebody's going to apply to unseat him, and you better come fully prepared with your everything loaded, because that's what you're up against. It's not a flawed system. The county has done what it is supposed to do, and that is bring along employees so that in the case of a vacancy, we can preferably hire from within and move things along in that arena. I think we adequately decided that we did want to open this up. And it was very viable to do that, just to test the waters. And honestly, you got what you expected. People are going to be hesitant. One, it's Florida, so everything is open records. So you better make darn sure when you put that application in that you're ready to move on or to have that scrutiny and not put your existing firm or place where you're employed in jeopardy. But it's not a flawed system. I hate to disagree with you. It's the condition that we have in this arena. This is what we should be doing. We did open it up. We got a number of requests, but the majority of them were exactly in the same position as Mr. Moylan. They were either a couple of them were brand new county attorneys that were looking to move. Others were deputy county attorneys looking to move into a county attorney position. And we already have one that knows the county inside and out, that doesn't have to be trained. Again, this should be based on the last discussion, this process to select you as interim should have been a quick approval so that we can move along and have the attorney's office in a stable position moving forward. We could put this off to July. Mr. Hadid retires August 1. I think the advantage to having this done now is to have Mr. Moylan start preparing for the office under his leadership instead of with 2 weeks to go instead of now. But I'm extremely disappointed that we're having this discussion at this time, and again, I apologize.
Well, I didn't expect it to come back in June. I thought it was going to be more of a July time period. I'm not saying anything that, if the policy of Flagler County government is to promote from within and don't go outside looking for other talent and positive interaction with other people outside of our government, then I guess that's what it is. But I've never worked that way. I don't work that way. What is the difference between a deputy and a attorney? The full-time attorney, what's the difference? Budgeting, right? You're going to have some HR responsibilities. You're going to have budgeting responsibilities. You're going to have to, there's other responsibilities than just being an underling for 10 years. So I just wanted an opportunity to meet some of those folks. I don't think I'm being irrational in doing that. And I will tell you, if you had said to me that this was going to be coming back in the next meeting, I would have asked for more time. I didn't know it was coming back this meeting. History surely shows us that things don't come back at the next meeting. So sorry I didn't say that up front. I was anticipating a better response, and I still believe that a recruitment company is the way to go.
Mr. Dance, did the board, when we agreed to leave open the requisite for the position, did we ever say, or I'm asking, I know at the time everyone said, let's make Mr. Moylan the interim. Was there an agreement to when we would close out the requisition?
It was the only guidance we got is to leave it open.
Right. So let's say he moved into this 90-day. It sounded like you think he's more of the permanent county attorney, but at what point is the board going to decide to close the rec down? Have we discussed that? Or I mean, I know we're still getting applications, but what if we come back and start saying, I want to interview this person, I want to interview that person, and we're sitting him in there in June, you know, what if that happens? I mean, that's something we needed to discuss as well, as far as how long to leave the requisite open. At one point, he just didn't say he's your attorney, you know, because I thought that we were going to start seeing new applications, start talking about people to interview. He would be one of them. Naturally, when Al left, we'd sit an interim at that point and talk about whether or not we're closing the rec down or whatever we're doing. But that's my question, is that's a decision also that needs to be made, is when you're going to close that rec down.
I would assume it would be prior to the renewal. So if you, at some point, you do have to call that question and say, we haven't received.
I thought he would be, we would make an interim at the retiring of Mr. Hadid if we had not found the permanent
Well,
replacement.
I think there
Yeah,
was
this
just some
contract-
discussion
I guess
about,
that's where I'm confused.
making sure that there was something in place, but
So I think that's what the confusion for me is. I didn't know it would come right back on our meeting. And on top, I'm worried it will defer other people. Then why are we having the discussion about keeping a rec open if it sounds like, we're thinking he'll be the county attorney or there will be that. It's not what I think typically would happen. Maybe it is, I don't know, but there are a lot of people saying, are you going to interview people? And just to that point, and I think there is, at least people in my public are expecting us to go through a process with this role, and Mr. Moylan very well may end up being the county attorney. I'm not saying that, but I think they're looking for some sort of, that you tried and you looked and you interviewed and you came to it. And if this board goes down the path of making the 90-day, then there should be some discussion about when you decide to, in the requisite.
well, based on what I'm hearing, I don't want to vote on this. I'd rather you table it
I
to
would
July.
rather table it to July. I was going to.
No, and that's fine. I think that when I got the guidance, I thought this was an urgent matter to process as quickly as possible. I misunderstood, and I apologize for bringing it so fast, because sometimes we'll bring things in a little bit later, and we get, some sense that that's too late. So since this was an urgent matter, I thought we'd bring it in as fast as possible. But we can definitely delay it to July or to August 1st meeting if you would like that.
My other suggestion would be we all personally make time with Mr. Moylan to talk to him about the role in the interim.
I had talked to Mr. Moylan,
That includes myself.
when was that, August? We were during the special election. We had a conversation, and I told him some things, and we shared some thoughts together. It's nothing personal, and I think Sean does know that. I just think we need to do our due diligence here. I don't think, and a comment was made from this board, well, let's just appoint him now. That type of comments causes a dysfunction in our request to find somebody to be willing to be an applicant. Oh, it's already in the bag. And, if it were me and I heard that, why would I even try? If somebody's sitting in the second chair and they're already being shoved into the first chair, it doesn't mean that everybody thinks that way, but that's the way I think. When I get rejection, hey, I walk away from it. So I would assume that somebody else feel that way. And I think since he is an applicant, I think we have to be fair to all the applicants and not just suggest it in the middle of a meeting. Hey, forget it, let's do this. There's a convoluted message being sent out to the public. And I think we need the fairness of that. And if it takes a recruiting company to come in and bring us, I'm not against that either. We're talking about we've been talking about millions. I keep making them zeros. So to me, it'll be 2,300, right? So, whatever it is, 3,300, whatever it is. It's not the be-all, end-all of the situation. And then we're doing the fair amount of due diligence. I think that's really important. Otherwise, we're going to look like we didn't give an opportunity to the rest of the state or licensees, that there's 1,787 licensees that could make an option. One other point I will say, I have friends that are lawyers, not in this field, and they all were shocked at the pay scale that we were offering. Shocked. They said, what's the best? I said, well, I sent them the information. And they went, wow, I wish I had that background. So it's a very, very, very nice position for anybody to get. And I'll leave it at that.
So from our part, we haven't gotten any guidance to do something different. We're following the guidance we got from the last meeting on the 28th and again reaffirm on the June 2nd meeting. So if the board wishes to go with the outside contractor, we need to know that so we can stop our process, because it's going to be confusing for the applicants. They don't know where they stand.
I'm not paying for additional search firm.
That's what I thought, that there was no consensus to do that.
But that's just one.
I am.
So let's talk about that. Is
Yeah.
anybody?
No,
This
I,
one-
what I'd like to do is announce we're closing the rec and let us start interviewing these kids.
In terms of going out with a consultant that specializes in law recruitment, attorney recruitment, is that not something that the board is wanting to consider? I haven't heard the consensus on that either.
So we'll have a discussion on consensus of hiring a recruiting firm. Mr. Hanson?
No.
Remind me what we
The rate,
thought the cost
yeah,
would
the
be.
rate is between 22% and 30% of the top of the salary band. So it's between $50,000 and $65,000 it will cost you to bring these folks in.
And what do we get for that?
Very similar process that we've been following and we've been showing you.
And what do they do?
Very similar.
Do you
Yeah,
feel
that's
that's
true.
different than the HR process?
Yeah, I can tell you.
Yeah,
I think
go
the main difference is a lot of the.
Time, hold on.
Yeah. I think the main difference is a lot of the companies, or at least one of the biggest ones, has a pool of attorneys that are constantly
list.
looking for jobs, and they can put their name into that anonymously, and so they pull from that list and they post to their list. That's probably the biggest benefit.
But the process is, what is the process?
Yeah, the process is pretty simple. Just posting everywhere, kind of we posted. I'm not sure. I don't remember hearing anything about headhunting, but I can ask the firms if they do that, like if they're going to actually reach out to people, on LinkedIn and start messaging them saying, hey, I would be interested in hiring, or are you interested in this role? But I'd
For
say
that money, they better do something.
And these firms are specific to
Legal.
just legal, not necessarily government attorney, but
yeah, legal recruiting. I think they look at barred applicants and they're focused on it. But I have a bunch more information. I looked at 3 different companies.
I'll let the others speak, and then because I'm not opposed to it, I'm still confused as to whether or not we're, would that be post closing the rec down? Do we pay them if we don't hire the person? What do we pay if we don't hire the person? Is there a?
Some of these contracts would include, you can actually, from the people they bring to you, if you don't select any of those, they can give you another try to continue to select another person. Some of them include a kind of a guarantee or warranty within the first year. If they don't work out, they'll go out and recruit again for you. I've been part of the process, so I know it's a similar process because I've been part of the process for other job interviews here in Florida. So the process is very similar. The big difference, like Charlie said, is they have access to a pool distribution list of people that are looking for jobs or have looked for jobs in the past in that same domain. So they can actually send the emails to them and say, hey, we have this position open. Would you like to consider it?
So they get this funding regardless of whether or not they seat the applicant. So it's a guaranteed rate of that percentage for doing the job of it.
No,
Let's say if we don't pick
remember
their
the final.
picks.
I think he's saying it's if they get the applicant for you.
Okay, so maybe what's the takeaway of that? If they, I guess that's a question that we can't solve for right now, but maybe I'd be interested in knowing, what do you pay them if you don't use it, or,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you don't settle on and I'm only asking this just because.
Yeah, we have to do an RFP for this and put it out there, and then the board has an opportunity to interview these headhunters if that's the way the board wants to go. And then once you select them, then you can talk about the process, or during the interview process, you can talk about the process and the warranties and the costs and all that. But the research that Charlie and his team have done, it seems between 22 and 30% of the top of the salary, or the hiring salary.
Commissioner Carney? Okay.
I'd like to know, please, what did we say in our last meeting that made you feel this was emergent?
Well, not emergent. What I said was that basically, since I was leaving on August 1st, it seemed like it have a higher priority for us to process this, because there was some concerns that we would not have somebody in place if Al left. There was conversations that we probably need to hire a private company to fill in. So from that, I deducted this is urgent for the board, since it's a position, the only 2 employees the board have, and if one is vacant, so we just process this.
It's been a month and a half. I mean, it's
right.
Since and it was a 4-0 consensus. This shouldn't be foreign. It was 4 of us gave consensus to move forward in this direction so that we could ensure that at August 1 we had leadership and Mr. Moylan as interim while we continue the process. That still will happen if you hire a firm. It's at least a 6-month process, I would assume. By the time we go through RFP and we do interviews with those firms just to be able to hire somebody, we're going to have to fill a gap as it is anyway.
And then I would say so, yeah. I mean, your timeline makes sense to me. Yeah, you definitely have to fill it.
My initial point was we don't have to have a deputy, Al's position at all filled until we're prepared to fulfill it.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know what the charter says if you need to have a county attorney position. You need to have a county administrator position for sure, but I don't know if Al knows if we need to have a county attorney position in place.
You need to have somebody that has the authority to act for you legally on many, many matters. You cannot leave it undesignated. You cannot leave it to a person titled deputy county attorney. Who's gonna accept that in the business world?
Okay. Thank you for that correction, sir.
So we're still counting consensus on a hired recruiting firm. Commissioner Richardson.
The first time we talked about it, it was 22,000 to 33,000. One of the gentlemen came up here. I don't know if he was correct or not.
No, it's Charlie actually went and got quotes. These are real quotes.
Reach out to companies, yeah.
Okay. 65,000 seems like a lot of money that we could put towards the beach. I hate to say it that way, but I do see it that way. But I do think we need to be more aggressive on our marketing approach. At this point, if we're not doing anything else, and if that's what we're going to do, I think we have to be fiercely marketing to the people who would be answering to that. I know the Florida Bar has its own section of those people.
It's posted there.
It's posted there, but how much is being, we're not contacting anyone outside of there, right?
No, it's in multiple places, yeah.
You're not on the speaker, unfortunately, Charlie, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah. So it's at the city, county, and local government law section of the Florida Bar,
Right.
government jobs, Indeed, the Florida Bar Career Center, Florida Association of Counties, LinkedIn, and then just social media through our social media.
I also posted it. I'm part of ICMA, so I posted on ICMA, which is a national, international organization that reaches many counties and many cities. So I posted it there as well.
Okay, so we'll be going to the Florida FAC meetings this week coming up. So
Actually,
next week.
yeah, to speak to that, Al actually reached out to FACA because when you were mentioning going to a conference and talking about it, he reached out to a contact at FACA and basically talking about the position there. I know we talked about brochures and stuff, which we made a brochure, we attached it to the job postings, but he said that it would be more beneficial to have I think it was roundtable discussion about the job. Correct me if I'm wrong, Al, I think that's what you sent over to me.
That's correct. At these meetings, I'm not going to say that every single county attorney, but an overwhelming majority of them attend because this is our time to be able to deal with the most, typically we're having to deal with the legislative outcome. It follows the legislative session. So we're always confounded by what the legislature does. So we try to unwind it and make sense of it and plan on behalf of our governments so they're not jeopardized. That's what we normally spend our time doing, working to protect the interests of counties. Now, there are numerous opportunities over the course of a 2-day conference where there are discussions. There's a roundtable. One of the features is a roundtable where we talk about the particular issues in the county, and I would, again, as I have in the past, broadcast this position. I want to take this brief opportunity to correct something for the record. The statement was made innocently that, well, this is just trying to get somebody from within and move them up and not any kind of recruitment. I think all of you know I've been around the block for a long time. I started thinking about retirement not yesterday, no, a number of years ago. And so I'm very active among the county attorneys. You all know that. So I was looking for all of those young lawyers and watching them perform, watching them present issues, hearing how they spoke, and I am evaluating them. Is this the person potentially that can succeed me? And I'm not sure exactly when I did this. I was wrestling with this, knowing that I was going to retire. And I'm not saying that this was more than a year ago, probably 2 years ago. And I went into Sean and I said, Sean, I'm so sorry. I have been looking and looking and looking, and I haven't found anybody that really interests me that I think can do this job in the way I believe it should be done for this county. This county that is small, doesn't have any fiscal resources, is very thin on its professional staffing, is very handicapped in so many ways, overly dependent on ad valorem taxes. All of these disabilities. This isn't walking into an urban government that's got a lot of dollars, can get the beach projects done with a snap of the finger. Everything here has to be created. The agenda item you just had, putting together a beach project in no time, having an option bid, having the foresight to put in an option bid on the Eastman contract where he locks in his price and he comes and he will do, I don't even know, I can't even remember the number of tons that he agreed to, okay? Now I want you to think about this. Think of the issues that we have surmounted in Flagler County. I doubt that all of you know. I'm certain you all don't know. We were the cutting edge on short-term vacation rentals. We had an over $50 million Burt Harris claim. Sean worked with me. I mean, the work I do, when you see great work out of our legal department, believe me, if you think it's all me, no, it's not. We work collaboratively. We think through these things. He understands how I approach these issues. Not just that. Some of you may recall that the legislature, because of the reaction to the COVID thing, wanted to tamp down on the ability of counties and cities to enact emergency provisions. And they were literally going to throw us out with the way they were writing it, where we couldn't have been able to use them in the very emergencies we're facing now, beach emergencies, fire emergencies, wildfires. So we jumped in and we got that legislation changed. So he has seen how that process works. What about easements? I don't know that people fully appreciate the burden we had to get easements. The 5th District Court of Appeal ruled in 2022 that anybody signing an Army Corps easement, the easement form, which we're not allowed to change a word of, constituted a taking of that person's property. In other words, they made the Army Corps easement document that we were required to use to have our project, have a person sign a document that constituted a taking. It was impossible. I had to work with the Army Corps attorneys, both here and up the chain, to get them to understand that we were in an impossible position. We were in a catch-22. The 5th District Court of Appeal, not intentionally to us, it was a case involving Brevard County. And so we had to figure out a way to get around it. You know what we thought about doing? one of the things we thought about and we researched quite a bit was, these properties, what are they going to do? Let's just go ahead and do the project without the easements, figure out some way to do it, and let them sue us for the damages. What would the damages be? Renourishing a dune remnant. Obviously, we didn't stick with that idea. But what we did come up with is to adopt 2 resolutions. I think, Mr. Hanson, you voted for them. And I convinced them, the Army Corps structure, to allow me to attach those resolutions to the verboten Army Corps easement document so that it would be a way of working around the strictures of the language that the Army Corps gave us. And that allowed us to go forward, among many other things. The whole strategy of bringing all those people in, including the bankruptcy case, he's there. Now, before that, I want you to think of this. Nobody has mentioned this. How in the world can we take public dollars and apply it to a beach where that beach parcel is privately owned? How can we do that? By taking advantage and declaring customary public use of our beaches. We were the county that drove that bus. We got it done. It is on the books. Why did we have to do it? Because after Matthew, just to take you back, to understand the kind of problems we deal with, post-Matthew, now we've got to repair all these beaches. We didn't have customary public use in our record. I mean, it wasn't in an ordinance or anything. So it got to be a problem because we were going to be applying sand bought with public money on private property. You can't do that unless you have some kind of public access rights. And the only one you can have is customary public use. It's not an easement, but it's a right of the public. And we created customary public use for the entire 18 miles of our county in 2018. And I'm sorry, Mr. Hanson, I can't remember, were you on the commission then? You had to sit through 4 workshops, 4 consecutive workshops, public hearings, where we put in the evidence to establish customary public use. There were some land use lawyers that were waiting to sue us because they wanted to make us a test case, just like short-term rentals. But we had mastered the subject matter, we had brought photographs, data, mapping. We had an unbelievable documentation of our customary public use. It was pretty incredible, wasn't it? I mean, it was stunning what we did.
You published a book.
And guess what? Counties they did this with our short-term vacation rental ordinance. We were the first county to write a master vacation rental ordinance. Customary public use, they just copied our ordinance. And I was calling these lawyers, you can't just copy our ordinance, you have to do your own hearings. So, the bottom line is, and I'm not going to wax eloquent on all the other things we've done, but he has been there every step of the way. So I have been looking for somebody to take my place. And certainly with what I have done, why would I besmirch my legacy by having somebody not capable? I want these things to continue. The National Scenic Byway, the work we did there. Do you all know that we got a national award for our overlay ordinance? A national award. So Sean has been there for all the big things. And then I finally came to the realization, I've been looking, and I get to watch these people. By the way, we don't just have one conference where we get together. So there's opportunities social opportunities as well to meet and talk about legal issues. And I said, you know what? I had the answer right here in my office. And I went to him and I said that. That's exactly what I said to him. I said, now I want you to think about this. This is a big darn job. It's a lot of responsibility, and you will be burned if you make a mistake, because that's just the way it is. You're going to have to change your way of living. You'll have a commissioner want to talk to you, and it'll be at night, on the weekends. You have to think about this all the time. It is non-stop. So there has been a recruitment effort on my part that has been quite sustained. Now you get to choose who you want to be your lawyer. You get to choose that. I'm not going to take that from you. But what I have done is brought up somebody that can be the county attorney of Flagler County and do it very admirably. By the way, you know he is certified. He has met the certification standards in local government law. That's the highest achievement one can make in local government law. You don't want to bring somebody in here who doesn't know about tax law, sunshine law, elections law. The only place they're going to get that kind of training and land use law, et cetera, is going to be working in local government. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We need to tidy up the consensus on hiring an outside firm. So, Commissioner Richardson.
I don't think we should be spending that funds at this point, just because of the emergency beach thing. It's just, everything's coming up at the same time, whether those funds would be used for that or not. It just disappoints me that we can't just step out of our box a little bit more. So I'm not for it at this moment.
Okay. Well, Ms. Pennington, you don't have to vote. We have 3.
What? I already did, didn't I? I already said.
Yeah. We have 3 that do not want to go out and spend additional money on a firm.
I think the next guidance we need is the date you want to close the position.
Oh. So this is just my recommendation. Everybody can do whatever they like. We haven't done public comment yet, but I think that in the fairness of the process of leaving the rec open and closing it and everything, and having a true interview with each person interview that want to, and interview some other candidates, I think maybe we could table this to the July 21st meeting, when we need to put in an interim at that point. That's just my take. And then we will officially can close it or do whatever we feel at that time we want to do. That's me.
I think that's a good idea, but we need to close it and start doing interviews. I think, Charlie, whatever's appropriate, length of time, and close it, and let us start. I already had a list, but now we've got another person we got to consider. But each of us give you the five lists.
The people that we had apply, so we can have an interview process.
Yeah.
I think, did you guys have people at the time that you wanted to interview? I don't know. Well,
Just reminding everybody of the discussion we had a month and a half ago was that there was not the consensus was there was not a list of applicants that we wanted to interview. That was the basis for the moving of the consensus. So I don't know what's changed since then, because we've only received one additional, and some of them have withdrawn.
One withdrew, yeah. David Rollerson withdrew. He's a county attorney.
Richard, do you have a comment, please? Okay, I'm hearing something. I just wanted to make sure you had an opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, there was one applicant that withdrew. It's David Rollerson. He's a county attorney in Henry County.
Okay. So again, just a little bit of background on why we're here where we are with this item. Let's go to public comment. This time we'll open it up for public comment. If there's anybody from the public that wants to weigh in on this item.
Ron Long, Aldo Drive. I think Al has pretty much made it very clear. He's been doing a recruitment process on this for probably 2 years. Mr. Hadid is highly respected in the area. He knows what he's doing with all this. And if he has not seen anyone in the past 2 years that he felt would be possible, and then on top of that, I'm hearing that you're getting applications that aren't meeting the standards that you want. So I don't know where sending it to a recruitment crew at the tune of $50,000 to $60,000 is going to make much of a difference in this. It sounds like the pool is just not out there. If you're going to want to try to find someone with Mr. Hadid's experience to sit in that position, he's not out there. That person's got a good job, and they're going to stay there. It's time that we, and I guess the biggest thing that irks me the most in all of this, what we are shouting out to the entire employment of the county is, don't try to climb the ladder, because no, we're going to try to find somebody else outside. And that's irritating. I've worked, being on the Planning and Development Board, I've worked with Sean before. The guy's smart as a whip. I haven't been at it long, but he really he's made a lot of things clear to me that I didn't quite understand. And I think he's got a good grasp on this stuff. I'm not saying don't have the applicants come in and apply, but it sounds like we're not getting the applicants. And I don't think going out to a headhunter or a recruitment board is going to change that aspect. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening again.
Hi, Darlene Shelley, K-Section, Palm Coast. Respectfully to Mr. Hadid and Mr. Moylan, I've done so many hours of research, hundreds of hours of research, going back and watching previous council meetings and commission meetings. And my concern is for the residents of unincorporated Flagler County and Bunnell and Palm Coast, and the rights that those citizens have to peaceful enjoyment of their home, safety, health, and welfare. And I can only think back to the many debacles that have come across the pages of the newspapers, thinking about Captain's Barbecue and the food truck debacle on the beach, and the horrendous rat-infested hotel that was allowed to remain for a decade, if not longer. And Miss Jane had fought so hard to get taken down and still is an eyesore. And no remediation, no fees paid, none of the required fines paid. That, to me, is not the sign of an attorney that I would want representing me personally. And it's obvious, you know, when the attorney stands up here and tells you that airport zoning regulations are about the height of antennas, that's one small part of the issue. Airport zoning regulations are designed to protect the residents, the local communities. Had it been done correctly in the beginning, yes, Mr. Seeger, in 2006, none of the incompatible homes would have been built around the airport. Because single-family homes, noise-sensitive uses, hospitals, homes, and schools are incongruent with excessive flight school mill operations. And it's been allowed to continue, and that's under the guidance of your city attorney. And I have not heard back from my complaint about what I see as an unlawful airport overlay, airport zoning regulation. I think it's poor legal advice, and those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. At this point,
Just want to make sure we
Yes, sir.
have the guidance to move forward. What I have is the option to go with a outside recruiter is a no for now. The board wants us to bring back the contract during the July meeting. We only have one meeting in July. A closing date will be selected during that time as well. The part that I don't have clarity is the part that I heard about interviewing. We have not planned to provide any interview time before this meeting in July. So I just want to get some clarity about that interviewing. And I was not sure if you were wanting to interview Sean or wanted to interview some of the other candidates at the same time.
I'm going to leave that open.
All right, well, I'm going to
No comment.
I'm going to give you your third vote to enter into this employment agreement with Sean, running from August 1st to October 31st. So that will seal the deal on the interim, correct? That'll get us our interim, correct?
Correct.
All right. Could we present to, I'm sorry, Joe, no, hold on. Charlie.
Reminder
Thank
name.
you, Charlie. It's a senior moment. It's 7 o'clock. I'm sorry. Could we present to Charlie 3 names for applicants, 3 applicants for him to call and see if they're still open to interviewing with the county, and to get back with us in July to see if they are open to coming in for an interview?
Are these the ones, I'm sorry, just want to clarify.
Please.
These are the same applicants that we publicly stated in a meeting prior.
We didn't all feel that way, Andy. I don't know why. I mean, I know you got a consensus to move forward with a interim, but I don't think we all came here prepared to give names of people to interview. I believe I'm speaking correctly. I put my names aside because I was told they weren't really good candidates. So if you still have a consensus that there are no good candidates, then you're correct. You need to move forward, and we all need to move forward with Sean. So why put us through it? If you heard this board tell you that there are no good candidates out of the group we already got, we received one, why are we spinning around in circles? Why?
I also
Great
think.
question.
Great
I also
question.
think there was 4 of us here, not 5.
Correct.
Because you said 4-1 earlier, so
No,
I just
4-0, he said. 4-0.
No, he said 4-1, I thought.
No, he didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. I heard 1. I'm sorry. I thought I did. Okay.
In order to move things forward, you can motion. We've had public comment. We don't have anything on the table, so you can motion Commissioner Carney for a path. With stipulations of continuing the process. I think Ms. Pennington had made a few suggestions in that regard, but I think if you motioned what you stated, you'd get a second, and then I think there would be a decision on that. But I just want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to be able to.
I'm just going to preface my motion by thanking Mr. Hadid for this very strong recommendation, and I sure wish you would have spoken up about 2.5 months ago. Just for the record, you're the hand. If he's handpicked, and you had that strong of a feeling that he was your guy, I wish I would have known about it 2 or 3 months ago. But that's okay. We're moving on. I'm going to make a motion that we enter into an employment agreement with Mr. Sean Moylan to act as interim county attorney as stated in the agreement, period. I would like to continue my motion by asking the board to submit 3 names to HR before, what's today? Monday? Before Friday for potential interviews in the month of July for consideration, period. If we do not meet, well, no, I want to stop there, because if Mr. Moylan is one of the candidates, then we could move forward towards hire at that point. Okay, that's the end of my motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? I'm not going to pass the gavel. I'm not comfortable in the numbers. It'll die. Motion dies for lack of a second. Next. Thank you.
I think the motion, now that it's dead, was too long and too technical.
We can try for a shorter one.
I think Commissioner Pennington wants to say something from her movement.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, to table item 8A until the July meeting and allow for the board to present 3 names for interview process to HR in the interim.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Hanson. Additional discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. From the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have, okay. All right, that gets us through to County Administrator Report.
Just to remind you, we're pulling together the information for next Monday's workshop where we're going to talk about animal control. It's at 1 o'clock. So we'll be putting that together and hopefully getting that out to you sometime this week. The other thing, I did email you all a copy of that lead testing while we were sitting here, so you should have that in your inbox.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's it for me.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. When will we see the resolution for the airport master plan committee? That was supposed to be done this summer. It's going to be June. It's going to be July by the time we see you again. When will we have that?
Depends if you wanted to workshop it in advance. We've got a lot of workshops scheduled pertaining to the budget, if we need to workshop it, or if we can just add it to the agenda for...
I thought we workshopped it already.
I think the question really is just the status of the master plan process, so we know where we stand. Would be a good question. I mean, because it's a detailed process. I think we talked about that process getting kicked off during the summer months. What did you specifically refer to?
Well, we had decided on what the committee was going to look like.
Right.
We decided we were going to do a business plan as well as a master plan.
Correct.
We have a consultant, is that correct, on the master plan? Are they up and running? Where are we with this whole thing?
I defer to Roy and have him come up and speak because it's something he's been working on. I misunderstood, and I thought what you were referring to is the makeup of the board. We haven't actually advertised for that.
Right, so when are we going to do that? We do have a makeup, right? We have a makeup of the board?
Yes, we do have a makeup of who we'd like on the board, but we haven't put it out to be who's going to make up the actual people yet.
Right.
Right.
We haven't put out the application yet.
Correct.
Okay, when is that going to happen?
So just let me back up just a little bit.
Sure.
So what I just submitted was I say just submitted, when you do FAA grants, you have to submit FAA grants at a certain time period. So I have just submitted the FAA grant for the airport master plan. So that is all submitted, and we just wait for the FAA to get our money. Now, one of the things, we should get that relatively easy because I used our bill money. And so basically that's about actually it's thinking $698,000. We had to spend that money anyhow. So we'll be able to get this grant, no problem, just going through the process. I would probably say we're probably going to get that grant probably in August or September is what we're looking at. The FAA could surprise me, and they just send it. It's kind of odd the way they release the grants. They do it at their whim. They'll release some money each month to different airports, so I can't really tell you when exactly we'll get it, but it will be probably no later than September. So we will have that group of them prior to getting the, we'll start working on that now to get that out there, to have that board selected prior to getting the grant.
So you need a board, obviously, first.
Right.
Okay. Then we need the money to hire the consultant,
No, that is the money. That grant money is the money.
but we don't know if we have the grant yet.
We don't have the grant in hand, but we've submitted the grant.
Right.
We will get the grant.
Okay. Well, okay.
No, we will.
All right.
Because we had the bill money, if you probably don't know this, so it's because it happened before you were elected. So basically, several years ago, they had the bilateral infrastructure bill, in which gave each airport, and for whatever different size airport you were, you got a certain amount of money. So our size airport, I got about $285,000 a year, and we could keep saving that money. So I basically saved that money for a few years to be able to do a big project. And this is what the big project was going to be, the airport master plan.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Good question. Is anybody else with a question for Ms. Petito? Okay. County Attorney report.
As we have already discussed the Bunnell land use item, I didn't have anything else.
Okay. All right, we'll open it up for community outreach. This is our last public comment period, 30-minute time period allocated for public comment.
Darlene Shelley, K-Section, Palm Coast. Hearing Mr. Seeger talk about $285,000 a year based off of numbers that he gave the FAA for grant money, those numbers, I've seen them. I've seen the grant. I requested it. It's over 100 pages. The numbers that he based it on are not even close to the actual numbers of what the airport does in operations. So it's based off of numbers that are flawed. I don't want to be the one to get in the way of the county getting money for legitimate reasons to help the residents of Flagler County, Palm Coast, and Bunnell. But I am the person who's going to stand up here and try to prevent my tax money from projects that are going to harm the health, safety, and welfare of the local residents. On projects that are going to invite in even more training schools that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, billions of dollars, training pilots of the world. Mostly pilots that countries do not allow the pollution of their environment with lead and toxic chemicals. This county commission, and not you individuals, have perpetuated this for a decade and allowed it to continue. $65 million so far at Flagler Airport of our tax money that could have gone to overdue infrastructure and repairing our crumbling roads and bridges, not on catering to flight schools and the desires of those who own their own planes to have a cheap place to park it, convenient to their home. An executive airport is not supposed to be a flight school mill, and that's what we have here. By allowing flight schools from all across Florida to come to our cities and pollute our environment, our aquifer, the Volusia Floridian sole source aquifer that you heard about earlier, that I've sent you the information on. The levels of lead in Bulow Creek based off of St. John's monitoring station. We know are 5 times higher for lead than they were just 3 years ago. These are facts. This is not my opinion. I wish I could play the noise and show you these reports again, but you have them because I've emailed them to all of you. And we have rights, and we ask you to protect them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna Jones, the Z section. I have sent several emails to all of you. Nobody answers me. Complaints? Who do we complain to? Where do we go? I'm here again. I don't want to be here.
Airport-related issues, we've got them. I'm not the expert to be able to comment on those, but those should be sent to the administrator and the airport director.
Her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've sent them to him too. You're all copied in them except her. I didn't know. Thank you. I would like a reply. I also submitted my petition 3 times. That's ignored too.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Commissioner reports. Mr. Hanson.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Commissioner Pennington.
My turn. I just want to say that, and I've heard from several people how frustrated the staff is because we're different than we were, last year. We're different. We have different problems. We have different commissioners. I remember my first year, I was shot down a bunch. I struggled a bunch. These folks are elected and they're learning, and some of them are very ahead of the curve on a lot of issues and bring things to the table that we didn't think about. But it's very important for us to, as a board, get along, not bully one another, respect one another, assure the staff that we will work through this. As much as we're signaling right now, we will get through this. And please don't feel that, this can only get worse. I don't think so. But it doesn't help our issues at all. We're here to advocate for our districts and issues and everyone as a whole and try to persuade each other to support our issues. And right now, it's more important than ever that we get along as a board so that we can push through some of these bigger problems that we're facing so that we can make good decisions for our public. So I just want to remind that. And I know that some have gone back and forth on some of these issues, but you leave here and you get a different perspective and you see things differently and you get 25 calls. I know you must get a lot of the same calls. I mean, I'm on the phone so much that my teenager wants me to go to counseling because he's so angry I'm not talking, because it's sucking up our lives. And trust me, nobody wants to put a lot of this behind me more than me, but we're facing some really strong headwinds. And I saw the city of Palm Coast is signaling that housing value is not going to be like this next year. It's going to go down. It's going to be even worse for us. So, we have all these things that we need to accomplish, but we have to be forward-thinking, future-thinking, and we may not get it all accomplished, and we need to set some expectations. Not everything can be done this year. Not everything can be done right away, but I think, it's important for us to get along and look united and respect each other's opinions and changes on opinions as they come along. That's me signing off.
Thank you. Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, I just wanted to recap a little bit about our workshop this morning. I did hear from the consultant that the 6-year plan is not in concrete and it was actually, quote unquote, pulled out of the air. I am asking the board to enter into some type of collaboration and cooperation. We voted unanimously, and I'm sorry, that the half-cent sales tax is off the table, but it's very clear to this board, well, most of us, that it's off the table. But yet, it keeps coming back up. It's in the social media, it's everywhere. Our administrator went to a Republican club meeting after we voted for it to be off the table. We've had radio advertising, or not advertising, but announcements. We have got to get together on this plan. I presented you with $8.5 million in the first year plan today. No cuts in staff, no cuts, no ad valorem increase. It's a starting place. The Army Corps nor FDEP can tell us that we have to have a half-cent sales tax. That is our plan. That is our decision. Whatever we present to our state or the Army Corps is an effort in us funding our beach. If it's not at a maximum number at this point, there's no law that says it has to be at a maximum number. There is no law that says we have to plan on doing 100% of REACH 3. This is a decision we make as a board in cooperation and an effort to move this plan along. I believe that this standoff is 100% related to this board being split over taxing our citizens. I thought today would bring a better resolution to the realization that we do not have 4 votes for a half-cent sales tax. And as we continue to spin ourselves and our wheels, there is a board majority that is driving a continued funding source that is not viable at this time. I beg my colleagues to get on board with this decision and enter into a spirit of cooperation to work through this funding plan. What I heard at the end of this workshop was more data being put into a spreadsheet. We have the spreadsheet. We have the funding. We have the mechanism. We just need to pick a one-year 2026, 2027 plan to move us into the most important and vital part of our beach management plan, and that is permitting. We need to get our consultant on board, and I was so impressed with him. I'm so glad he showed up today. He made me feel, like we're getting there. The other consultant, Olson, there was some flaws in that plan. I don't know if you agree, you probably don't agree, but there's nothing saying we have to stick to a 6-year plan at a maximum contribution to the beach funding plan. So I just hope we can get some more cooperation on this. My intent is not to cut we're getting all this stuff about our library. I've never seen how did all this come to fruition that we're defunding our libraries? Who started that rumor?
You did.
No, I didn't.
You said you absolutely would not put the people in the library. Absolutely would not do it.
That's the new library. That's the Nexus. It's the Nexus Center. And I didn't say nobody. I said I'm not doing 6. That's not true. I mean, Greg, you only hear half of it. The point is, we can get there. We're just fighting, we're digging our heels in that one plan is better than the other when what we need is the right plan. So I hope we can get there. This is like frustrating beyond all frustration. I think we're overreading what our beach what our math is telling us, there's no way Reach 3 has got to be funded 100%. I think that was very obvious today. The other thing I'd like to ask cooperation on is changing our capital improvement plan from a 1-year plan to a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. Most organizations do a 5-year capital improvement plan. This gives us a timing period to set priorities as to the spending of whatever capital we do have, and it sets it on a path to when it gets funded, it gets done. I've never seen a 1-year capital improvement plan in my life. I'm wrestling with it because that is some of the funding that we may or may not need for the beach. So one way, again, to resolve some of these issues is to consider a prioritized 5-year capital improvement plan. So they're out there. There's education on how to get there. There's public administration papers on how to get there. I think we can do it, and it would be a recommendation as we move forward with the budgeting process. But a 1-year capital improvement plan, in my opinion, is not going to work long-term, especially when you only want 6 years on a beach $20 million plan. So some of the math has got to add up. This is bigger money than we have, but we have to address what we have. And I just don't see the end result. Hopefully we'll get there on July 2nd.
Commissioner Richardson.
I didn't have anything to say, but now I'm going to just say that I've been hearing that they're closing the library in Palm Coast, and I don't know where. That was never mentioned in this building when I was here. I would think that would be a travesty because it is a heavily used building for the most part. Having 2 libraries is a little bit awkward to me, but, you know, there has to be benefits to that library. It's in the center of the heart of the city, and many, 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 many residents come to that library, and there are some facilities there that are available right now, and they need to be maintained. So I don't understand where that came up. It had nothing to do with the new library, from what I understand, or Nexus Center, whatever name you want to call it. But the original library is staying open unless anything is different. And if that's different, please let me know now, because I've been getting 5 to 10 emails about keeping that library open. So does anybody have an answer for me? Maybe Holly, you have an answer? I'd appreciate your assistance on that, because that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Holly Albanese, Library Director. Just so you know, from the last workshop where that was discussed, we have been receiving a lot of comments wondering what's happening with the library, if anything was going to change, if we're closing. And staff has really just been telling them if they have concerns to contact the commissioners with their concerns. But as far as we know at this point, nothing is going to happen. Now, all that said, I was asked after that meeting to prepare a presentation, well, some slides that have alternatives for the library, alternatives to the 6 staff. In conversation with administration, we went down and talked about what some of those alternatives could look like. Outside, and that was including me, because part of that comment was to send me back to the library. So that's including me. 6 staff would include me. Then we looked at what would it look like if we did 3 staff. So we're looking at 3 staff. Then what would it look like for the library system? And that's both libraries, not just Nexus. What would it look like if we didn't add any additional staff? So I'm putting all these slides together, what each of those scenarios might look like. In conversation, I said to county administration, well, for that matter, you're not required to have a library at all. I said, unfortunately, we have a $4 million grant that requires that we operate the library at a certain level based on the proposal for 5 years. That means we have no choice but to operate the Nexus Center at the level that I proposed in the grant application. So with all of that said, I did say that you don't have to have the Palm Coast Library. You could close it down, sell the 19 acres, and tell the city that if they wanted to have a library, they could find a way to fund it. So I was asked to use that as one of the alternatives. So I met with staff at the library, and we discussed what these options or alternatives would look like. What's the pros and cons to each one so that I can put all of this on a slideshow. And please know that it's not my recommendation ever to close the Palm Coast Library. No. But it was suggested that we provide the board with every alternative possible. So that's my goal, is to provide those alternatives to you so that you can make a decision going forward. What is this going to look like for both facilities? Will we operate it at the current staff level? Will we operate both facilities with maybe a couple of extra people? Or will we operate it at the level that I recommended, which is the 6 additional staff? Of course, that is the decision of the board. I do believe that after conversation, staff have a tendency of talking. So they may have talked amongst themselves, and that may be where it blossomed from.
Thank you for your transparency on that, because it's really bothersome to hear things way, way, way ahead of time from what I would expect. So thank you for that.
Not a problem.
I appreciate the explanation, truly.
Yeah, it sounds like something like that happened. Yeah.
Correct. I'm just providing the alternatives that were requested.
So did you get feedback from the staff on the alternatives?
Well, yes. Well, I met with my administrative staff and the person who's currently overseeing the Bunnell branch. So we met because once we move over, Bunnell branch will be part of the Nexus Center. So I wanted to get feedback from those individuals as to what they thought the pros and cons would be. So now the assistant director and the branch manager, who will be the branch manager of the Bunnell or Nexus Center, and also the current person who's operating and overseeing the Bunnell branch where it's located in Marvin's Garden. And we talked about what those pros and cons would look like. And I don't know how much you want me to go into tonight, or if you'd rather just wait until, I guess it's part of the July 2nd discussion, where we'll talk, the slides will be presented, I'm assuming, on all of these alternatives. And I can talk more about each alternative so that you can then make, a decision based on that information. Okay.
Was that it? Okay. Just want to make sure you got all your... Okay. All right.
Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted, we just put something up. I just want to clarify the the process for our CIP. We do actually have a 5-year plan. What we normally do is what's funded in this year, we break it down by funding sources, and that's the one we publish. But we do have a 5-year plan that we can share with the commissioners if you would like that.
Will we be doing that during budget?
Yeah, we can include it in the budget process. You can see the 5-year plan. That's included not only for these capital projects, which are new construction, capital preservation, and some technology one, but we also have a 5-year plan for roads that Mr.
All right, as long as it's going to come back under budget, that's fine.
Yeah, we can include it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salinas. You saved me some time. Right. On Commissioner Carney's comments, again, I do think we ended, based on your comments, I did think we ended with different perceptions. What I would ask is, if you have the network or the framework of your plan that you can send to administration so that it can be vetted, I would ask that you do that so that we can check.
It's the top of the spreadsheet.
All right, and
The whole top of the spreadsheet.
just to be clear, so that there's no, just outline that as a framework, and then that will be checked on, just to make sure that what your assumptions are actually can be put in place. Was there, I want to go back in time, I don't know when this was, but Commissioner Carney, did you at one point ask if we could do a retreat? Was there any, okay, is that still a request, a thing? Because
I got this workshop that we just had. I basically wanted the history. I wanted to come up the learning curve on Olson. I wanted to understand where all the numbers were coming from. I can't speak for all of us, but personally, I've spent copious hours in meetings, in review, looking at everything I could find. So I was able to get what I needed. And again, it's the open discussion that we need to have back and forth that gets us to the final solution, right? I mean, we have to be able to converse about it.
okay, I just wanted
But
to.
my problem is we keep getting back into the half-cent sales tax after we have a clear vote that we're consensus, whatever you want to call it, that we don't have that in our plan. So that's what caused my frustration today. I know the general public probably didn't hear that we were going to not talk about it. But fees, taxes, there's all ways to fund this thing. So.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I actually had my own thoughts of a retreat, but it was more in line with Commissioner Carney's, Commissioner Pennington's thoughts about making sure that we set framework for being a cordial board as we present to the public. There's lots of nuances to that, and there are at times when it's hard to do from the dais, but in a more informal setting, I think there's gaps in bringing the commissioners up to speed on your inboarding on certain really important topics that we could go over, but also just about if it's okay with everybody, I can work on that.
I would call it a philosophical discussion, because
Okay.
we're all going to be working together for X amount of years, and
But
maybe
there's
we
things that can
understand.
help us
yeah,
with
but like
that.
here's what this program is, and
But if as long as we are in agreement, I can work on that and put something together.
I did say something about when we will have new commissioners as we go on. And I think what you call onboarding, the way they have it set up for me, I guess, Ms. Carney, as well as, I don't know what Ms. Pennington went through. We met with each of those lovely people back there and spent time with them and spoke about their department. It sounds great, but then you walk away and that doesn't happen anymore. So maybe a program that's better designed for introduction.
That was one of them. I wanted to get your feedback on your onboarding so that we
Okay.
could modify that
Good.
and put
Great
together
idea.
a better plan.
Great idea, Andy,
Okay.
great idea.
All right, I'll work on that if that's okay. Is everybody in agreement? Okay. Really, I guess at that point, I don't have anything else because I look forward to what you send in there so that we can work on that. And I'll leave it at that. It's been a long day.
We adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Okay, Smiley.